Oh my gosh, dude. That's why this is the greatest industry in the world, is because what works for you doesn't work for me, and what works
Right.
for me doesn't work for.
Hey everybody, Sean Walker here. Welcome to another episode. Well, I guess I would call it the inaugural episode of Rise by Renown, formerly known as Clear to Close. But we've decided Rise by Renown just hit better. It just felt good. So I thought, what better person to jump on and start the Rise by Renown podcast than my good friend Home Slice. I like Home Slice Mike. Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, dude. Thanks so much for having me here.
Good. Hey, no, thank you for jumping on, taking the time. I know we were just talking even before the podcast with Justice. You're busy right now. There's stuff happening out there in this market.
Yeah, the market sentiment has optimism.
Yeah.
I think it's like, before you get in the hot tub, you want to see how warm it is.
Yes. Right.
It's the market feels like that.
Okay.
Like
just
today, just to timestamp the episode, just today I saw that rates are at like 6.02.
Right.
And so, man, what I'm telling people is once they consistently get into those high fives, I feel like maybe not the floodgates, but I feel like the momentum will build.
It does feel like there's just people sitting on the sideline. It's interesting though. I've watched a lot of different conversations with people, and even conversations that I've had with Justice. That difference between the 6.02 and that 5.8 that they're waiting for.
Yep.
In a way, sometimes that thought process, maybe, excuse me, that thought process unknowingly kind of lives in ambiguity, because it might be the difference isn't as earth-shattering as we hoped, or the fact that this might be some place that we're only staying for the next 5 to 7 years, that we're not really taking the full advantage of the 5.8 anyway. So it is an interesting market that I would say maybe the best thing to be right now is really the emphasis of being educated is probably more important than ever.
Dude, nailed it.
Seeing the rate sign on the wall. I think the importance of being educated. How are you finding, where is the client education right now? Where is the level of, in the world where we can get information from Chat GPT, Claude, and our Facebook page? How are you finding that's going?
Yeah. One thing I started doing this year is equity reports. And so I'm, in order to hopefully avoid being replaceable, I'm really focusing on physical mailers. So this year I'm devoted to doing equity reports to as many past clients as I can.
Okay.
And it's just basically 2 graphs: the median sale price in their zip code and a testing of the market at different price points for their house.
Okay.
And I feel like once they understand that the market isn't so much up and down, but it's just kind of the ripple, the slow ripple up. I don't know, man. I feel like that's kind of where the magic is.
Yeah.
In fostering those relationships with old school tactics.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a great word. I think ripple is because that's actually what it is. Yeah. It's actually a ripple. It is not this. It is not. My daughter is doing. We homeschool our daughter. One of the things that her school is having her do right now is she was given a pretend $100,000 to invest in the stock market. So she was picking all these stocks, and she just and so she checks it every day. What place am I in? Out of all the girls and guys that are in her class, and she's amazed by the fact that it's not this. She's thinking it's going to go. She watches the graphs go up and down, and it goes like this, and she's like, "How come I'm not making more money?" I'm like, "Well, honey, I'm going to use that word now. You've given me it's a ripple. It's not these huge swings and huge moves unless there's a major event going on in our country."
Exactly.
How do you? So, because I think that's one of the things. Actually, I'm gonna shift gears a little bit, because I think that's one of what you just did, and kind of even giving me verbiage is one of the things you do really well. And I actually share one of my first encounters with you I actually share it pretty often because you gave, and I don't know, you probably got this from somebody, but you articulated it to me, and I was like, that's the yes. When we were talking back when I was first doing real estate and you were coaching me, you said, Sean, here's the most important thing. He says, if you have a 2-legged stool, that stool will not stand. You need a 3-legged stool. And at minimum, you need 3 areas that you are doing consistently to thrive. And I think one of the biggest challenges in my experience in training and coaching real estate agents and in marketing and what we're doing, I think consistency, I've almost become religious about it now. Even if you do the wrong thing, if you do it consistently, it might just work. That consistency seems to be the biggest challenge because maybe we didn't get the pop that we expected in the first month or 2 months. How have you found, right? I didn't get 10 listings the next day. And so how have you found, well, let me ask you this, when you're coaching real estate agents, and I know you do, how do you help them find or determine what their thing is, like what their 3 legs are? Because obviously the 3 legs aren't the same for everybody. You're doing mailers or whatnot. How do you help them find those 3 legs?
Oh my gosh, dude. That's why this is the greatest industry in the world, is because what works for you doesn't work for me. And what works for me doesn't work for like my partner, Caitlin. And
Right.
You can build it really any way you want to a degree.
Right.
If you're going to go to the cat cafe, but you're not going to talk to anybody, and
Right.
you have a big hairy goal to sell 100 homes, well,
Right.
I mean, it has to be measurable and attainable, right? And so,
Right.
what I guess what I coach agents to is, what's the reality? Number one, what do you like doing?
Right.
How do you like interacting with people?
Right.
Because most everybody who's drawn to real estate doesn't really mind talking to people.
Sure.
And
Sure.
on the flip side of that, if you don't really like people and don't like talking to people, there's agents in my office that don't, and they do really well because you can build a business any way you want.
Right.
And so, gosh, I feel like if you can relate to people and form relationships, and you're okay, like your daughter, you're okay seeing the little nuanced growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my mind, in my experience, at about year 5 is when it hockey sticks.
Wow.
Because you have the relationships and you've done things hopefully consistently. And so I think I'll probably reference the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book a couple different times. But the writer of the book, Gary Keller, said like a millionaire real estate agent has 5 to 7 solid sources of business, but the minimum should be 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you coach someone and you're helping them find that thing, because again, I think consistency with anything, you decide those 3 legs, and consistency, obviously is key. How do you walk someone through that process? Because I think that's the thing is one of the things I'm finding is social media is here. Social media is a huge part. That's one of the things we do here at Rise.
Yep.
Renown. We're helping people. I went to an EXP event years ago, and I remember there was a panel of these people, and I try to be gracious with everybody, but what I find sometimes is what qualifies you to be on a panel is you caught lightning in a bottle once.
For sure.
And I'm like, that's it. You caught lightning in a bottle once, and now all of a sudden you're an expert on a panel. And I'm like, okay. And I see some of those people, bless their heart, get up and pull a phone out of their pocket and try to have this profound moment that's like, you have everything you need right here to be a success in real estate. And I'm like, okay, that does not apply to everyone in the room. Okay, that everyone in the room should not wrap up a selfie and start rocking it and saying, hey, this is what we should do. At least with not without the proper etiquette, because it could actually paint a very poor picture that, oh my gosh,
Sure.
that you look nervous, you look terrified. I would be uncomfortable. One of the things we want to do is help people get comfortable on camera, help them with some of the things that they don't do, the editing and whatnot. So I'm a firm believer that social media is here to stay. I think that's one of the things you do really, really well. I love your social media. If you have not checked out Mike Renard's social media, you got to. He's fun. It's not all just real estate. Sometimes you're just going to get the healthy tip of what he's doing right now as he's driving in his car and what he just saw. But that's real, and people get to connect with you as a person. How do you help people find those 1, 2, or 3 legs that are them? What are the conversations they need to have with themselves?
Yeah, I've always thought social media can be the cake, it can be the frosting, it can be the cherry on top.
Yeah.
It's really one of what you put into it. When I first got in the industry, I want to give a shout out to Matt Rohde. And also, if anybody has any questions on DADUs, please find a way to get a hold of Matt Rohde because he's pivoted and really found his niche, and he's doing great. He said, post every day for 2 years, and it'll set you up for your whole career. And I did that, and I believe it's helped a lot. So I think for me, early on, it was the cake. And I was posting every day, and I was putting content into neighborhood groups. And I grew up in Puyallup, Washington, so I knew and know most everything that's happening in that town. And so real estate is hyper local. It's very niche, and you can carve out what you want to with social. So like there's two things there. You can utilize it as a tool, or you can have it be a leg of business, I think. So for example, going back to the one goal, if the one goal is 36 units, statistically you're going to pull at least a third of those, probably half of those, hopefully, from your sphere of influence. So then you just have to get really clear about the other two.
Right.
And if social media is a whole leg of business, you just got to develop hopefully 3 to 5 strategies on how to get there. And so as long as you're realistic, like typically I have a goal to close 4 to 6 units from social media directly. And those are new relationships I haven't met before. It was a referral through social, or we connected on Instagram. And that's how I measure what's working through social media.
And do you roll it like, with like when back in my cold calling days when I was dialing, I knew my number.
Bless your heart, dude.
And I knew my number. And one of the things is I just, I kind of developed an internal, like, I'm not afraid, and I'm not afraid for someone to be upset with me or whatever.
That's
and
awesome.
I never experienced that. I never experienced the angry people, but I knew, okay, if I dial 100 numbers today, this is going to get me X amount of conversations. This X amount of conversations is going to get me, an application. Do you find that you do that same measure with social media? Do I ramp up? Do I do some changes? Are you doing A/B testing? Like, what are you finding as being successful when you say, I want to get 4 to 6 out of social media?
Yeah, dude, I wish I had some great analytical answer for you.
Okay.
And honestly, Sean, some years are better than others. And sometimes I wake up and feel like I'm not really going to do anything today social wise. But the goal for me is to engage with 10 people in stories, commenting on their stories, trying to invoke conversation, find a little subtle way to point it back to real estate if possible. But from there, it's like, just stay consistent. I don't know. You mentioned sometimes you get real and authentic husband, dad, and sometimes you get polished realtor. I feel like that should lean at minimum 60-40.
Totally.
Real estate to real life. But I think if you just slowly nudge people back to what you do for a living, I think it works out. Yeah.
No, I think that's one of the challenges I was even having with kind of that expo was they were like, just be your realtor. And I'm like, no. They want to know who you are, and they can see through it.
Yes.
One of the biggest complaints, I did a little reel. It's not out. I'll probably put it out this weekend or Monday. One of the biggest complaints this year about the Super Bowl, believe it or not, was not the Bad Bunny thing. That was kind of the noise. But the biggest complaint about the Super Bowl was the commercials that were AI.
Yeah.
It seemed a little too like you've got this AI person talking to you, now, because we all know it's probably a script that was fed up to the AI. So you're like, okay, is this somebody who really, I think one of them was a jacket, do you really love this jacket, or is it the fact that it's this AI bot that is telling me this jacket is great? And so, it's one of the things that I think is just really, really interesting. And the complaint was like, people still want to connect with people in reality. They want to connect with who you are. They want to know who you are. And so, yeah, that's one of the things that I found kind of at this conference was it was like, go ahead and just put your real estate self out there. It's like, no, put you out there.
100%.
Like, show them who you are. So I think that too leads me to another question. Again, kind of ties into what we were talking about a little bit beforehand. You as a real estate agent, and I actually, the word that came to my mind was you're innovating. You're having to innovate on behalf of your clients, because you're starting to find, and to what degree you want to talk about this, that you are having to, as a real estate agent, navigate people through some really challenging things. And it is hard to get perspective when you're dealing with challenging things. So to have an agent who is saying, hey, here's a bigger picture and another opportunity. What do you think of that? How have you grown in that area? What advice would you give to agents who are, obviously going to start navigating the same waters of difficult transactions that you are?
Yeah, we were talking, unfortunately, the largest generation prior to millennials is going to start dying off.
Yeah.
And so we get into real estate with this first-time buyer,
Yeah.
rose-colored glasses.
Family of 4, upgrading to the new 3-bedroom now.
Here's your keys.
Yeah.
And so I found that, number one, I wear my emotions on my sleeve a lot of the time.
Sure.
That's why I wasn't great in the law enforcement world when I was getting into that world. And I think it served me very well in real estate. That said, helping families who just had a family member die, or are going through this horrendous divorce, or relocating because of they just can't afford to live in Western Washington anymore. That's super delicate. I mean, that you want to like sit there and cry with these people, but they're also looking to you to guide them through at least this part of the financial decision.
Right.
And so detaching the emotion has helped me a lot. I'll never forget, I'm not going to say his name, but like in year 2 or 3 of being in this industry, I was like livid on the phone with this other agent, and I couldn't even tell you why. I was just angry with this guy. And finally he was just like, Mike, you care too much. I was like, who are you to tell me how much I should care about my client?
Right.
On this agent who is a seasoned agent.
Right.
And like just a couple years ago, like I couldn't help but look back as I was having conversations with an agent who was just getting in their own way and getting overly emotional. And so you have to detach. You have to take a step back because they're in their feelings. And as much as I want to be in their feelings with them and being the shoulder to cry on, we as professionals really gain our value by saying, here's what I know about this area. Here's some use for the land. Or have you thought about maybe doing a kitchen refresh and we could maybe get you this much for the house? That's where I think the repeat business just starts flowing.
Right. I think that the challenge of, again, when you're in a difficult situation or when you're in a pressured situation, I had a client recently who wanted to go to Spokane and they're trying to navigate the okay, I don't want to be a nomad for 2 weeks while the new place is closing over in Spokane and I'm moving out of this place here. And you could see the amount of pressure that was actually starting to create. And so they were actually starting to do shortcuts with the agent in Spokane. I'm not going to do a walkthrough. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to go.
Yep.
And I kind of had to jump in and go, whoa, 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 whoa. No, you don't want to do that. You want to make sure. And that's just one of the things that we get to almost be, agent, helping market and kind of coach and therapist all at the same time.
Yeah. And I feel so much of that too is just how you frame questions with people. Like, for example,
good. Yeah.
Sean, can I maybe ask you a hard question? And they're like, yeah. And it really kind of brings it back to center, which I think is really important. And right. You're guiding that client. Like, I have a fiduciary responsibility to help you think about it this way.
Right.
So I think that's great.
Or I actually care. I just genuinely care.
100%.
I think that's so. One of the things I always love to ask agents, and I'm enjoying this. This is kind of starting to become one of my favorite parts, and I intentionally don't prep them for it because I don't want them to. And I always use the example of the weirdest showing I ever had. I don't know if you saw Dennis King on the podcast. You should watch it. His is probably my favorite thus far. It's a vacant house, but they had to leave a couch and a television there. They didn't even live there. It was unoccupied, and they were the family that was listing the home insisted that the television be on and the couch be there. And I was like, oh goodness, that tops my 27 bunnies in the garage story. What is in your history of real estate, what is the transaction or thing that you've seen or experienced that's just absolutely blown your mind? Like, I can't even believe this happened.
Man.
Your aha real estate moment.
I think two come to mind. The first one is, when I first got in the industry, short sales were more popular than they are now.
Okay.
And, walking in on squatters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was kind of like, oh, wow. Like, you got to work through this. And
you're here. Can I step over you really quick?
Like, you can't be here. You need to get out of the house right now. Like, clients calling 911.
Right. Oh God.
I'm like trying to be this big presence and like, you got to get out of here. It's bank owned property. So like, who really cares like that?
Right.
That only happened once. The thing that I'm most proud of in 2021, we had a listing where it was like our clients were selling, we were helping them buy, and there was 2 sales that needed to happen. Anyway, long story short, we were a part of 7 dominoes.
No.
And
oh wow.
It took 2 days. It took 2 business days. But and we were
7 dominoes
we were like number 3 or 4 because like in 2021 it's like it'll close. Right. That's what I think one that I'm most proud of is
that's amazing.
Yeah, we helped them sell a property. They were contingent on a purchase, and then like I said, there was 2 before them and I think 3 after them or something.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'll never do that again. But it goes. You can use that as a story. Like, can 100%. It happen? Sure.
And without a hitch, so pretty hitchless.
Totally hit. Thank God. 20. I don't know how. Like, mass props to escrow companies who like were moving that much money and 7. Both of ours were into Holly, and so 7 contingent closings over the course of 2 business days.
For the win. There you go.
Oh my gosh.
So listen, one of the things we love to do here at Rise is we want to make sure that people come away with something that just, and so if you were sitting down with a young agent or even an agent right now who is just considering, I don't know, maybe this is, it's just not turned out what I thought it could be. But the potential is there. What would you, if you were doing a coffee table moment with them right now, and you were just like, hey, what would you encourage them with right now, especially in this market as we're experiencing kind of another transition, or actually feeling we're waiting for another transition offshore?
Yeah, I think number one, if you can just remind yourself to come from contribution. That's one thing that I've always really tried to focus on is come from contribution. And I would ask that agent, realistically, what are your goals with working in this industry? Because you and I know it's a big industry. You don't have to be in sales. You can be in support. You can be in title and escrow or lending, or you can be a home warranty rep. I mean, it's a huge industry. It's a limitless industry. So I would say, number one, like, what are your hopes? What are your goals with being a realtor? Does do your goals support a balanced life?
Yeah.
One of the reasons that we decided to make a move to Southern Utah was just to simplify everything. Like we did that. We tried to keep up with the Joneses to a degree. Right. We tried that, and it's just not, to me, it's just not really worth it. Right. So, like, number one, what are your expectations? You can make $1 million or more, but like, to what end?
Right.
And that's one thing that my coach, she says to me often is like, okay, like, to what end? What will that do for you? Really?
Yeah.
So if you can come from contribution and track what what your real goals are in a consistent way, while also paying attention to the key relationships in your life, your spiritual life, then the sky's the limit, and it's a lot of fun.
I love it. I think the best piece of advice I've gotten, just even as when markets transition, is stay focused on the process and not the outcome.
Totally.
Outcomes are important, but if you're ever, like I even said, if you pick a lane that may not even work, if you do it consistently, there's a really good chance it'll work.
Yeah. To your point, one thing my dad said, like, day one, got my license, Dad, I'm going to go be a realtor. He's like, just focus on the client and the money will follow.
Yeah.
And it sounds like elementary, but it's true.
Well, there's so many shiny objects out there. I mean, every time a real estate agent opens up their mailbox, this is it, this lead flow. I mean, I'm starting to get to the point, not to be cynical. I'm not cynical. I work very hard on not being cynical, but I can almost, by just listening to, or playing their emails or watching their ads. There's one particular person right now who's a lead generator, and he's been doing the same shtick for probably 3 years now. And there's something, it's like, there's a reason you're not in real estate anymore and you're selling this package, because, it's not working.
Totally.
And I think those are good, and all the lead opportunities that people have are good. But if you find that thing that is uniquely you, or maybe even not even uniquely you, but it is you and you resonate with it and you do it consistently, you win.
Absolutely.
You just absolutely win.
You brought up a point that I think is equally important, is quit comparing yourselves to agents in your office.
Come on.
Like,
say that again for the people in the back. That is so true. It's
so prevalent in our industry. I'm sure it's prevalent in a lot of sales industries, but I'm not you, you're not me, I'm not her. That's like,
right.
Just stay focused on what your goals are.
So true. Yeah. So true. That right there, that was your gavel right there. So true. So true. Mike, I have been honored. This is great. And we went the full half hour. That's so good. Well, normally,
it's always easy to chat with you, Sean.
Yeah. So grateful. Thank you. I mean, I look forward to having you on again. I think you bring just real clarity. I think the simplicity, I love the simplicity, the clarity, but also just love talking to you. And I love just watching your journey as you're, Utah in it, still doing the Northwest vibes. Like, that's a big undertaking. That's not simple. And so a real honor to have someone like yourself on who is, taking big swings, not afraid to take big swings, and also being willing to help other people.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. My pleasure. I'm rooting Rise on, and I can't wait to just see you hit that 1,000th episode and
come on,
just be a blessing in people's lives.
Awesome. All right. Well, my friend, thank you so much for being on. Again, comment below if you'll find all of the information you need to get a hold of Mike in the comments below. We'll link it there and all of his great stuff too. And so again, we're so excited to have you be a part with us today. We will see you next week on Rise by Renown. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.